During the Civil War in Russia, American and Canadian soldiers densely based themselves in the Arkhangelsk town of Schenkur. It was January 19, 1919. It took the Red Army 5 days for the enemy to flee in fear. Schenkursk operation is remembered not only as a victory, but also as a triumph of the Russian person, resourceful mind over stiffened opponents, who act according to the plan and not able to reconstruct in time to the situation. As it happened, Schenkursk had been under the power of interventionists from the United States and Canada since the middle of 1918. They had serious weapons, about 2,000 soldiers and almost 1,000 white guards, machine guns and hand guns, 30 cannons. It seemed that they could not be approached and Schenkursk could not be returned to the hands of the Red Army. But it was not. The Red Army soldiers waited for the Christmas frosts. The temperature outside was 37 degrees, which was new to the Americans and Canadians. They had never seen such bitter cold in their lives. In order to pass unnoticed, they decided to wear white underwear over their overcoats. The soldiers were simply invisible to the enemy, managing to get so close that they had no idea. The distance was counted in steps. The most nimble Red Army soldiers had about 20 to 30 paces to the American and Canadian positions. But the main trump card was still the element of surprise. As Henry Meade, who was a lieutenant, later recalled, when the Red Army men started jumping out and running headlong into the bayonet and shouting hooray, everyone around them was confused. It's hard to imagine what it was like to see a lot of ghosts, literally because of the extraordinary method of camouflage, bursting out of the snow, he wrote. The result of this psychological pressure was victory over the Americans, and only the White Guards defended themselves for a long time. They did not surrender for almost 15 hours, relentlessly repulsing the attacks. The village of Ust-Pedenga was then withdrawn under the control of the Red Army, then returned into the hands of the Whites again. During the night, the latter were driven out to the village of High Mountain. There was snow everywhere. We must act quickly, because the enemy still had a numerical advantage. Somehow we also need to get the heavy weapons through. So, a genius idea came to non-commissioned officer Solodukin's mind. They chopped a few planks and harnessed horses, which turned out like a grater. These went ahead of the column and cleared the way for the Red Army troops, for the free movement of the heavy guns. The words of one of the prisoners as soon as they fired a cannon at the town, and then we saw again their swift advance toward our positions. The entire garrison instantly realized we had already lost Schenkursk. The music did not play for long. Already on January 24th, just on the 5th day of the operation and with serious numerical superiority of the enemy, the Red Army successfully drove the Americans and the Canadians out. As for the White Guards, they had no choice but to go under the command of the Reds. Whereas the Whites' allies fled so quickly that they abandoned their artillery pieces, 6 dozen machine guns, about 2,000 rifles and cartridges, which numbered in the millions.